Hello, my name's Angel Soliveris, your host on Making the Connection in Lancaster. Today we would like to welcome some very special guests, Mary Ross and Lisa White from the YWCA Lancaster.
Correct.
Welcome to Making the Connection, ladies.
Thank you, Angel.
You guys are also members, as I am, of the Lancaster Professional Organization of Prevention Providers, which also includes Big Brother, Big Sister, Kobe's Family Services, Compass Mark, the DUI Council of Lancaster, Cadencia, Vantage, YWCA, the Drug and Alcohol Commission of Lancaster County, and our very own Nuestra Clinica. So tell us about what the YWCA Lancaster does.
Okay, the YWCA is an international organization, so you can find us around the world. And each YWCA, our signature is eliminating racism and empowering women. And so at each YWCA, the programs can be a little bit different to fit the needs of the community. The YWCA Lancaster, we have several programs here, and our building is actually located on the corner of Orange and Lime Street in Lancaster. Some of our programs, and Lisa, help me if I forget some.
Sure.
We have our health and fitness department, which goes out to senior centers and does programs with senior citizens. We have our racial justice department. We have, of course, our child care department, which includes before and after school child care and also preschool child care. Some of the other programs we have, Lisa?
We have our Sexual Assault Prevention and Counseling Center, which we'll talk about a little bit more in detail later on.
Oh, great.
And we also have our Empowerment Center, which I am a part of, which includes basically prevention education services
That's what I wanted to
within the
talk
community.
also, yeah. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about the Empowerment Center at the YWCA and all the services that it provides. I would like also to hear more about that. But first, tell the audience, Mary, what your title is and your role at the YWCA.
Sure. Well, my title is the Empowerment Center Director, which is basically prevention education within the community. And the prevention education can come in the form of support groups, the weekly support groups. It can be one-time presentations. It could be a series of presentations. It could be a summer camp. And but our main focus is on healthy relationships and the prevention of sexual assault.
Great.
So there are some of the programs that we do have. We go to area schools. Some of the schools that we go to include Solanco, Penn Manor, Pequay Valley, Ephrata, Columbia, and the School District of Lancaster. And one program we do in particular under our professionals group is the Girl Power program.
Okay, we're going to be talking more about that. How about you, Lisa?
Yeah.
What is your role in this?
Sure. Well, I work very closely with Mary in the Empowerment Center. I'm the Director of Counseling Services at the Sexual Assault Prevention and Counseling Center. And it's actually located on the same floor as Mary's Prevention Education. So we think that that's a lovely collaboration to work with victims of sexual assault and violence in a counseling aspect, but then also to work very closely with another organization another program, that focuses directly on prevention education. So we see victims of sexual violence of all ages, and we do not discriminate upon gender. A number of people always assume that the YWCA is for empowering women, of course, but we also see males who also fall victim to sexual assault, and we see the age range is significant as well. We see very small children all the way up to older adults. Some of the other advocacy pieces that we do in the counseling center are if there is a preliminary court hearing or investigation that may lead to a trial, we also provide sort of that legal accompaniment and advocacy to the victims and also their families if they have to go to court. Also, if a person who has been sexually assaulted needs medical assistance, if they go to the hospital, we are also called to provide support and advocacy in that, kind of traumatic experience of
Right,
being in the
absolutely,
hospital as well.
absolutely. Well, I know, Mary, you have a long list of programs at the center, and I would like you to kind of tell us a little bit about some of those programs that you have.
Sure, sure. Within the Empowerment Center or the Prevention Education, we have many programs under our one-time series where we go into schools, and the schools that I had listed, as well as any other school in the district or community group or any organization. Some of the topics include personal safety, sexual assault 101, real life relationships, anti-sexist training, and also we do some racial justice too under the prevention education. And what we do within those programs, it can be the form of a support group in which we have the actual program Girl Power, which is one I really do want to stress. Girl Power is a middle school program, and it's to help girls transition from the tough years from elementary school to middle school, because they find that's a really tough transition for girls. So the Girl Power program was developed we developed the recent curriculum under the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. And within that program, we go to area schools and we meet once a week for the minimum of, say, 12 sessions. And we have up to approximately 15 girls in each group. And we deal with all kinds of issues, anything from healthy relationships to drug and alcohol abuse to issues of sexism to anything, grades, keeping your grades up at school, setting goals. And so the girls really do create a bond between each other, and it helps to build self-esteem so that the girls, when the time comes, if drugs and alcohol or unhealthy relationships would come about, that they have the skills and the self-esteem needed to not become involved in that.
Okay, and you cover all ages, I guess?
Yes, we do. The Girl Power program is middle school. In elementary school, one of our support groups is called the Sisters program. And the Sisters program, my goodness, it's been around for at least 20 years now. And it is where we match elementary school girls with high school girls who act as mentors. And we can have up to 10 little sisters and 10 big sisters, and we meet once a week at a school. And that runs usually from October to the beginning of May within the school district. And when we meet there, we cover a lot of the same issues, but it's related more to the elementary school level. And again, we're in Penn Manor, Solanco, Ephrata, and Columbia.
And you said the school district of Lancaster as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that program is there. And middle school is Girl Power. In high school, we do a lot of one-time presentations or a series of presentations related to healthy relationships or sexual abuse, the continuum of sexual violence in a girl's life or anyone's life. And that is our main focus in high school with that. So there's some of the programs and then we also have a summer camp.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a summer camp for girls, and it's open to the community, as well as the girls that are in our yearly groups. And this year, we're really delighted to say that we have a program called Tech Girls, in which we are integrating into the girls' lives technology, using computer skills, actually building robots, they will be, which should be very exciting, and creating some PR, learning how to do PR for the television. So
That's interesting.
yeah, we're anxious to get that one started too.
How does that sexist program that you guys have, how does that work?
Well, being the YWCA, we try to have a level playing field. People are basically people. And so we try to break down any stereotypes that we have learned from childhood in regards to, for instance, when we talk to the girls, one of the questions we'll ask, if you were a boy, what job would you like to have when you grow up? And many times we find the girls say a different job if they were a boy versus if they were a girl. And then we challenge them and say, so why can't you do that if you are a girl? And it begins the discussion. it begins the discussion. So we just try to stress that people are people, and
Right.
to judge people just as we are. So, but it brings up many interesting discussions.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll bet it does. I'll bet it does. The training that you receive for the sexual assaults and stuff, who provides that training for you guys?
Lisa,
That's
you
a
can
really
answer
good
that.
question. We have the Sexual Assault Prevention and Counseling Center has a specific training for people who are interested in either volunteering for our rape crisis hotline, which I'll talk a little bit more about, or if they just want to be advocates in the community to promote the prevention of sexual violence. So the training that we offer at the YWCA it's a 40-hour, pretty intensive training, but it's sort of been trademarked by the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. So we are one of the only centers who offers this kind of training. But the training consists of a variety of organizations and people within Lancaster City, within our community, that we collaborate with to make sure that people are getting correct information, so people know where to go for various issues or experiences that they may have. And all of these people actually come in free. They do it for free. They are pretty passionate about the movement to end sexual violence.
Right.
And so we have a number of people from law enforcement, from juvenile probation, from children and youth, and a whole slew of other organizations who can offer additional services in conjunction with the counseling that we
Okay.
provide at the YWCA to just help people through such a traumatic time, in their lives.
Absolutely. That's wonderful that you guys can provide those services, including you guys go to the hospitals also with the victims, I guess.
Yes, we
Go
do.
to court with them, and there's all kinds
Yes.
of other things you do, right?
Yes, and I did want to say that the training, we actually are having a training that's coming up. And so if anyone is interested in signing up for that training, or if they want additional information about the Sexual Assault Prevention and Counseling Center's training, that please feel free to call the YWCA.
Tell me what kind of training that's going to be, because I deal with a lot of young people at the high schools. They have there's issues of date rape sometimes, and
Absolutely.
not knowing what is rape and what isn't. What kind of
Absolutely.
training are you going to be having
It's
on the date?
that's one of the things that we actually talk about in the training. It's we meet 2 times a week, and it's 3 hours each week for
Wow.
a total of 6 weeks, and we cover a variety of topics. We usually talk about the perpetrators and actions and motives, and sort of the different ways that people can actually offend other people.
Right.
We talk about what constitutes sexual assault, what is sexual abuse. A number of people have no idea what that actually means, what it entails, what it looks like. And then we also talk about how you can, especially if you want to become a volunteer on our hotline, what are some things that you can say to help someone who calls the hotline if there's a crisis situation, or unfortunately if a sexual assault has just occurred and that the victim is actually calling. What are the ways that you can help, and what are the options that you can give someone when they're in a pretty stressful, intense
Okay.
situation?
Right, and the training is, we are the only site trained under the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. So the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape only has so many sites across Pennsylvania, and we are the exclusive one here in Lancaster. And the wonderful thing is that we provide free counseling. So anyone who
That's
is a
what-
victim of sexual assault, or a significant other, a family member, or a friend,
Right.
anyone can call our hotline. You can come in and you can receive free counseling. Come to the YWCA. We always have a hot pot of coffee on.
Great.
And it's free. It's free, and it's all paid through the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape.
What date is that on the training?
All of that information is usually
And that's
listed on
open
our
to the
website.
public, I guess?
It's open to
Absolutely.
anyone.
Yes.
And I think too, Angel, I just want to stress that in our counseling department, we really feel like the hotline, it's a 24-hour rape crisis hotline. We feel that that hotline is the backbone to our program. And we have some fantastic
Absolutely,
volunteers
yeah.
who are there to answer the phone
Right.
anytime. But we are always looking to make that hotline and that group of advocates, hotline advocates, as strong as it can possibly be. So we sort of
Right.
feel like the stronger we can make our hotline, the better services we're able to provide as a counseling
Absolutely,
department.
Right, and we have some wonderful volunteers,
We do.
advocates, the other people who work, on our staff in the departments. It's definitely a team effort, and it's like a ballet up there, isn't it?
It is.
Everyone
It
has a role to play, and many times we call it the magic of the YWCA.
That's good.
But
And then we
it's
have all
a-
these professional providers from Lancaster County
Absolutely.
that we can count on.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that training. I will be contacting you about that.
Fantastic.
If there's any individuals out there or organizations that would like to help with the children that are being counseled in your sexual assault center, what's the best way for them to help? I know you're saying you got a lot of volunteers already, but
Sure.
what else can they
Can
do?
I just mention real
Yeah.
quick, too?
Yes.
The need for men in the movement.
Okay.
The statistic is 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted in some way by the age of 18. And we do have a need for some strong male advocates.
Okay.
Because, when a young boy goes to the hospital, it's so much more effective to have a man come to the
Absolutely.
room to be there versus a woman at some times. So,
Okay, so you have a need for
Absolutely.
male figures.
yes.
It is unfortunate that sexual assault is an equal opportunity,
Right.
crime. And
Yes.
I think that statistic is very high. I mean, we're talking 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys
Right.
will experience some sort of sexual violence before they turn 18.
Wow.
That's staggering.
It is.
So for anyone who wants to help, for anyone who has questions, for anyone who may have a family member who has experienced sexual assault, my advice would be to call the YWCA. At least if we can't answer your questions, we would know people who
You
do.
know, point them in the
You
right
know,
direction.
yes.
Absolutely. That's great. So if someone wanted to contact the center, what's the best way for them to do that?
They could call our phone number. The YWCA's phone number is 393-1735. If they don't want to do that, like I mentioned before, we have that 24-hour rape crisis hotline, which is 392-7273.
Fantastic.
Right.
Anything else, Mary, that you wanted to mention?
Just, again, for people to feel comfortable with calling us. If we haven't answered any questions here today, we love to talk on the phone with individuals in the community. And we're all about responding to the needs of the community. If there's something that isn't being met in the community, being a women's organization and also working to eliminate racism and all the different stereotypes and isms that exist in our community, we want to hear from people. We want to support the community and
Right.
and any individual out there that is that feels their rights aren't being met in any
Absolutely.
way. So
Yeah.
that's very important.
And you guys have some events coming up too that I'm
Yeah,
sure
we
do.
spring's coming. So
Being a nonprofit, there is always a need for fundraising, and we have our big event coming up, the Race Against Racism. Do you want to take the lead on that one?
Well, that's in April. It's usually our...
you had quite a number last year.
We did.
we
There
did.
were
Record breaking again.
yeah,
Over 3,000.
Over 3,000 people.
Wow.
Then it begins early in the morning.
How early is early in the morning?
Well, the actual race, I believe, begins around 8:30 in the morning. If you're coming in, I would highly suggest to get there by 7:15, 7:30. There's a lot going on already at that time. And then the race begins, and after the race, we actually have a Humanity Fest at Musser Park.
Okay. And where do you meet for the race, to start the race? Where does it start at?
We actually meet at the YWCA.
Okay.
The race begins in front of Musser Park.
Okay.
And there's a designated
Route.
that
Okay.
it's one big circle, so you're not going to end up at the other side of town. We promise that. You could, again, call the YWCA. There'll be all kinds of information out, I would say, within the next month, inviting individuals to come, families. We have some group activities. We have some group competition with schools and different items like that. So, but it's a really great event, and it's always humbling to see the community response
Absolutely.
to
And-
this important issue.
And Angel, also April is our Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which we will be having a number of events
Yeah.
around sexual assault or sexual violence, and so we're really excited about that as well.
Absolutely.
Right. The theme this year,
Yes.
under the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape,
No.
is called It's Time. And for under that theme here in Lancaster with the YWCA, we want to talk about men in the movement. So we have a family violence resource network that will be at the YWCA. And then later that night, we have an event called Take Back the Night, in which survivors or people who support the movement come out at night. We usually have some kind of candlelit service and some speakers. And it's a very moving experience for anyone to be involved in.
You guys have a great website too. It's very user friendly. Has a lot of information in there. So if they want to look up any of these dates or events that are coming up, they
Absolutely.
can visit the website, and that is the YWCA Lancaster.org.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
Thank you
Fantastic.
for mentioning that.
Well, I'd like to thank Mary Ross and Lisa White for coming into the show and making the connection with us here in Lancaster. I would also like to thank Flowers by Paulette for the beautiful flowers. And I'd like to thank the viewers because, without the viewers, this show would not be possible. So please stay tuned for many more interesting topics in the weeks ahead. Thank you.